Did you ever have to pretend everything was fine when it really wasn't?
Picture this. I'm elbow deep in a diaper change for my 2-year-old niece, Lily, her little giggles turning to wails as I wrestle with sticky tabs when my phone buzzes on the kitchen counter. I glance over, expecting a mundane update from work, but it's a text from my own mother that hits like a gut punch. We're flying to Rome tonight. Took what's left for the adventure we deserve. My heart stops. What's left? From the family account I manage, the one with my late sister's emergency fund for Lily? I whisper to the empty room, not from my account, you didn't, as rage bubbles up, wondering how far this betrayal goes and what I'll do to make them pay. That moment replays in my head now, but let's back up a bit because it wasn't always this tangled. I'm Sarah Thompson, 42 years old, living in a modest 2-bedroom house in suburban Columbus, Ohio, the kind of place where the neighbors wave but don't pry too deep into your business. My days revolve around freelance graphic design gigs, logos for local bakeries, flyers for community events, and keeping an eye on Lily, my sister's daughter, since that awful night 2 years ago when a drunk driver took Emily away from us. Emily was the golden child, the one who had it all figured out, while I was the fixer, the one who handled the paperwork and the tears after Dad passed from cancer 5 years back. Mom, Eleanor, always leaned on me for the practical stuff, and my brother Mark? He's the dreamer, or so he calls it, bouncing from one scheme to the next, currently married to Carla, a woman 10 years his junior who seems more interested in Instagram likes than actual stability. It was a Thursday afternoon, the kind where the October sun filters through the kitchen window just right, casting warm stripes on the linoleum floor that's seen better days. Lily was on her changing table, a portable one I keep in the corner because she spends so much time at my place while Mom recovers from whatever vague ailment she's claiming this week. I was humming an old tune from my childhood, something Mom used to sing to us, trying to distract Lily from the cool wipes against her skin. Her tiny fists waved in protest, and I chuckled softly, thinking how these moments are the only pure ones left in my life. My own marriage had crumbled 3 years ago. Tom couldn't handle the family drama, said it was too much baggage, and since then, I've built this quiet routine, just me and Lily against the world. The phone buzzed twice, insistent, pulling me from the task. I wiped my hands on a nearby towel, the one with cartoon ducks that's seen too many washes, and reached for it. The screen lit up with Mom's name, and I smiled faintly, expecting maybe a grocery list or a reminder about picking up her prescriptions. But as I read the message, the world tilted. Mark and Carla are joining me. We're flying to Rome tonight. Took what's left from the account for some much-needed fun. Love you. Attached was a photo of airline tickets, all 3 names bolded, and a selfie of them at the airport already, Mom's silver hair perfectly coiffed, Mark grinning like he'd won the lottery, Carla posing with that fake sparkle in her eyes. My breath caught in my throat. The account. That joint savings we'd set up after Dad's death, a safety net for all of us, me chipping in from every paycheck, Emily's life insurance padded for Lily's college someday, even small contributions from Mark when he remembered. It wasn't a fortune, maybe $15,000 at its peak, but it was ours, protected for emergencies like medical bills or, God forbid, another loss. And now? Took what's left. I set Lily down gently, snapping her onesie closed on autopilot, and carried her to the high chair, strapping her in while my mind raced. What did she mean, took? As in borrowed? Or as in emptied? I pulled out my laptop from the cluttered counter, balancing it on one knee while feeding Lily a handful of Cheerios to keep her occupied. Logging into the bank app felt like second nature, but the loading screen stretched eternally, each second amplifying the dread pooling in my stomach. When the balance appeared, it was like a slap, $300. $300. The transfers showed clear as day, $5,000 to a travel agency yesterday, another $4,000 today, all authorized from a device linked to Mom's phone. My hands shook as I scrolled, seeing the confirmations for flights, a hotel in the heart of the city, even some excursion bookings. Rome. Of all places, the trip Dad always promised, but never took, the one Mom romanticized in her stories. But this? This was theft, plain and simple, wrapped in family entitlement. Lily babbled happily, oblivious, as I called the bank, my voice steady despite the tremor inside. The representative was polite, confirming the activity, but saying it looked legitimate, no flags raised because it was a joint account. Joint, yes, but I hadn't signed off on a dime. Can you reverse it? I asked, cradling the phone against my shoulder while bouncing Lily on my knee. They couldn't, not immediately. It would take disputes, paperwork, time they were jutting off on. Hanging up, I felt the rage build, hot and unfamiliar. I'd always been the peacemaker, the one who smoothed over Mark's screw-ups, who drove Mom to appointments, who took Lily without complaint. But this crossed a line, stealing from a dead woman's legacy, from my niece's future. I texted back, fingers pounding the screen. What account exactly? And why without asking? No reply at first, then a dismissive, "It's family money, Sarah." Relax. Relax? I whispered to the empty kitchen, Lily's eyes wide on me. "Not from my account, you didn't." The words hung there, a vow. As the afternoon wore on, I paced with Lily in my arms, her head heavy on my shoulder, my thoughts spinning scenarios. Confront them at the airport? Freeze the card? But deeper, the uncertainty gnawed. Was Mark pushing this, or was Mom spiraling on her own? Subtle hints from recent weeks flashed, Mom's offhand complaints about being broke despite her pension, Mark's sudden interest in family finances during a barbecue last month. By evening, with Lily down for her nap, I started digging, pulling up old emails and shared documents. That's when Carla showed up at my door, unannounced, her face a mix of sympathy and something sharper. "They're already through security," she said, stepping inside without invitation, glancing around like she owned the place. "Eleanor didn't mean to upset you." "Upset?" I bit back a laugh, bitter and dry. As she prattled on, I slipped my phone under the table and accessed the family cloud account, the one with all our financial backups. In seconds, I changed the password, locking them out: photos, statements, everything. Let them try to access their adventure-proof mid-flight. Carla's phone buzzed then, a text from Mom probably, and her expression soured. "What did you do?" she accused, but I just smiled thinly. "Protected what's mine." As she left in a huff, the first threads of revenge wove tight, but questions lingered. Who else knew, and what would they do when the real bill came? Do? Carla's tires crunched on the gravel as she peeled out of my driveway that evening, her taillights fading into the dusk like a bad omen, leaving me alone with Lily's soft snores from the baby monitor and a house that suddenly felt too quiet, too full of echoes from the day's chaos. I sank onto the couch, the worn cushions swallowing me, and stared at my phone, willing another message to appear that might explain away the madness. But the screen stayed dark except for the bank's fraud alert I'd set up in a panic. Sleep came in fits, haunted by dreams of Roman fountains running with stolen dollars, and by morning, with Lily's cries pulling me upright at 6 sharp, I was resolved, no more playing nice, but first answers. I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint, the aroma filling the kitchen as I strapped Lily into her high chair and pulled up every digital trail I could think of: shared calendars, old texts, even the family email chain from when we set up the account after Dad's funeral. Emily had insisted on it, her voice still clear in my memory. "For Lily, Sarah. No one touches it without all of us." All of us, including Mark, who contributed maybe twice before vanishing into his business ventures. As Lily gummed a teething ring, drool pooling on her bib, I spotted the first crack, an email from 3 months back, Mark forwarding a link to a debt consolidation site, CCNG Mom with a note about easy fixes for family emergencies. Subtle, but there it was, a clue tying him in deeper than just tagging along for the trip. The group chat exploded mid-morning, Mom's texts a barrage of hearts and pleas. "Landed safe. Cloud issue fixed. Miss you already. Fixed?" I smirked, typing back a single screenshot of the locked access, my reply clipped: "Enjoy the pasta. Hope it's worth the scramble." Mark jumped in defensively: "Sis, chill, it's a loan, we'll pay back," but Carla stayed mute, which only fueled my suspicion. What was her angle in all this? By noon, with a client call wrapped and Lily down for her nap, I'd called Lisa, my accountant friend, spilling the details over speakerphone while pacing the living room. Sounds like classic elder manipulation, mixed with sibling sleight of hand, she said, her voice tinny but sure. Pull the statements, look for patterns. That's when the real digging began, my laptop overheating on the coffee table as I cross-referenced transfers with their social media, Mom's posts about spontaneous adventures, Mark's vague stories of turning things around. A pattern emerged, small withdrawals over weeks, disguised as groceries or gifts, totaling nearly 2,000 before the big Rome hit. My stomach twisted. This wasn't impulse, it was planned, and Mark's involvement screamed from the IP logs Lisa helped me trace later that day, his home address popping up on 2 of the authorizations. Humor crept in as I muttered to the screen, "Brother dear, if you're this slick with money, why not try an actual job?" But the laugh died quick, replaced by a cold resolve. They'd be back soon, the trip's glow fading, and I'd be ready. 2 days later, they returned, the Rome high worn off like cheap cologne, pulling into my driveway in Mark's beat-up SUV just as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the lawn. I watched from the window, Lily on my hip, her fingers tangled in my hair as the car door slammed. Mom emerged first, luggage in tow, her face drawn under the travel makeup, followed by Mark looking hungover and Carla with that forced smile, arms loaded with duty-free bags that screamed excess. "Sarah," Mom called, waving like nothing happened, but I met them at the door with a neutral nod, the air between us thick as fog. We settled in the living room, the space feeling smaller with their presence, Lily crawling between legs while I poured iced tea that no one touched. Denials flew fast, Mom insisting it was just a mix-up with the accounts, her hands fluttering like nervous birds, Mark blaming the bank's glitches, avoiding my eyes, Carla chiming in softly about how stressful flights make people do silly things. Silly? I kept my tone even, passing Lily a toy to buy time, but inside, the conflict raged. Part of me wanted to believe them, to hug Mom and chalk it up to her loneliness since Dad, but the evidence burned in my pocket, my phone heavy with proofs. 5,000 isn't silly, I said finally, pulling up the app on the TV screen for all to see, the drained balance glowing accusingly. Their faces shifted, discomfort rippling, and that's when Mark cracked a bit, admitting we needed a break, but dodging the debt clue I'd uncovered. The evening dragged, dinner a tense affair of takeout pizza that grew cold untouched, Lily's giggles the only light as she smeared sauce on her tray. Subtle hints dropped amid the small talk, Mom's new bracelet catching the light, likely pawned from family heirlooms, Carla's offhand mention of debts piling up back home. Uncertainty hung heavy, my choices teetering, call them out hard and risk a scene, or play along and strike smarter. As they prepared to leave, bags repacked, I excused myself to settle Lily and instead fired off an email to the neighborhood HOA list, our tight-knit group that loves gossip, posing as a concerned resident about recent travel scams targeting locals, attaching a blurred screenshot of the travel confirmation with names redacted but recognizable. Public enough to sting, witty in its anonymity, letting busybodies connect dots without my direct hand. By bedtime, their phones were buzzing, texts from acquaintances asking pointed questions, and Mom's frantic call came as I rocked Lily. "What have you done?" "People are talking." I feigned surprise, a dry chuckle escaping, "Just looking out for the community. Thought you'd appreciate the heads up." Satisfaction bloomed, clever and cutting, but as I hung up, a bank alert pinged, an incoming deposit, $2,000 from an unknown source, labeled partial refund. Whose money was this, and what strings attached would unravel next? That mysterious deposit taunted me through the night, the bank's notification glowing on my phone like a ghost refusing to fade, $2,000 sliding back into the account from a source marked Travel Refund Services, but no details on who or why. I lay awake on the couch, Lily's baby monitor humming softly beside me, my mind churning over possibilities. Was it a guilty conscience, or a ploy to buy silence? Morning came too soon, gray light seeping through the curtains as Lily's babble pulled me into the kitchen, where I mixed her cereal with mechanical motions, the uncertainty settling like a fog I couldn't shake. By the time I dropped her at daycare and settled at my desk for a freelance edit, the questions piled up. Mark's debts, Mom's evasions, Carla's silence. It was time to go deeper, no more half measures. I texted Lisa right away, my fingers still sticky from Lily's breakfast. Need your eyes on this ASAP. Coffee at the diner. She replied within minutes, her response a thumbs-up emoji I ignored in my head, practical as ever. The local spot was our old haunt, vinyl booths cracked from years of spills, the smell of bacon and burnt toast a comfort amid the storm. Lisa arrived 10 minutes later, her briefcase thumping on the table as she slid in, glasses perched on her nose. Spill it, Sarah. You sound like you're unraveling a conspiracy. I laughed, a short bark that didn't reach my eyes, and pushed the printouts across, statements, emails, that odd deposit. Family stole from the kids' fund for a Roman holiday. Now this refund? Feels off. She pored over it while we ordered, her pen tapping a rhythm that matched my pulse. Patterns emerged quick. The withdrawals weren't isolated. They linked to a series of payday loans under variations of Mark's name, high-interest traps that Mom had co-signed, pulling from our joint pot to cover minimums. This is bad, Lisa murmured, circling a transfer. Your brother's gambling again. Looks like online poker sites in the logs. And Eleanor's been bridging it, probably to keep the peace. The twist hit like cold water, not just greed, but a hidden debt spiral, Mom's manipulation shielding Mark while eroding Lily's safety net. I stirred my coffee, the spoon clinking too loud. What a piece of work they are, I muttered, humor lacing the bitterness. Here I am, changing diapers and deadlines, and they're playing high roller. Back home that afternoon, the confrontation brewed as Mom showed up uninvited, her knock tentative but insistent, like she knew I'd let her in. Lily was napping, so I led her to the kitchen table, the air thick with unsaid accusations. She looked smaller somehow, her cardigan hanging loose, eyes pleading as she clutched her purse. Sarah, honey, we need to talk. That email you sent, it's causing trouble. Neighbors are whispering. I crossed my arms, leaning against the counter, the conflict twisting inside, forgive the woman who bandaged my knees as a kid, or call out the thief. Whispering. Maybe they should. You emptied the account for gelato and gladiators. Her story tumbled out then, a mix of half-truths, Mark's in a bind, debts from his business. Rome was to celebrate, clear our heads. But the clues slipped, a pawn ticket peeking from her wallet for Dad's watch, her voice cracking on, "We'll make it right." I pressed, showing her the loan links Lisa flagged, watching her face pale. This isn't just a bind, Mom. It's fraud. She denied it hotly, tears welling, manipulating the guilt like, always, after all I've done for you girls. But I saw the fear, the deeper secret of her own credit cards maxed on luxuries to match her book club friends. Part of me softened, disagreeing with my urge to comfort her. Was this loneliness or selfishness? The atmosphere hummed with tension, revenge simmering as she begged for the cloud access back, promising the refund-covered part. Subtle hints dropped, her phone buzzing with a call she silenced quick, the name collector flashing before she pocketed it. As she left, promising to handle Mark, I waited until her car faded, then acted. Logging into the lingering travel app from their bookings, a backdoor I'd spotted in the statements, I canceled the unused excursion credits, about $500 worth, and donated them anonymously to a local women's shelter. A quiet jab at their excess while aiding folks like me post-divorce. It was subtle sabotage, witty in its redirection, hitting their wallets without a trace back to me. Mom's text came hours later, furious. Our points vanished. What happened? I replied innocently, karma's got a funny way sometimes, a chuckle escaping as I hit send. Satisfaction warmed me, but the dilemma lingered. Lisa's advice to go legal echoed, and as evening fell with Lily's bedtime stories, an email arrived from an unknown sender. Back off the debts, or we involve lawyers. Lily's family too. Legal threats? From who? Mark's creditors, or someone closer? The escalation chilled me, the truth inching closer but still veiled. That anonymous email lingered like a bad aftertaste through the next morning, its words, back off the debts, or we involve lawyers. Lily's family, too, printed out and tucked in my planner as a reminder that the game stakes had risen, pulling innocence like my niece into the crossfire. I woke early, the house still dark, Lily's even breathing from her room a fragile anchor as I slipped into the kitchen for coffee, the machine gurgling like my unsettled thoughts. Who sent it? Mark's shady associates from his gambling days, or Mom herself in a desperate bid to scare me straight? The uncertainty fueled a low burn of anger, mixed with doubt about my own path. Escalating this could drag us all through courts, but backing down meant letting them raid Lily's future unchecked. Daycare drop-off was routine, Lily waving goodbye with sticky fingers from her muffin, but my mind raced ahead to the freelance meeting I half heard, nodding through client notes on color schemes while plotting next moves. Carla's call came mid-afternoon, unexpected as a summer storm, her voice hushed and urgent when I answered from my car. "Sarah, meet me. Park by the old mill alone." Suspicion prickled, but curiosity won. I detoured, pulling into the gravel lot where overgrown weeds whispered against the doors, the river murmuring nearby like it held secrets of its own. She waited on a bench, hood up against the chill wind, looking smaller than the confident woman who'd posed for Rome selfies. We talked in circles at first, her fidgeting with a coffee cup, steam curling like evasion. "It's falling apart," she admitted finally, eyes darting. Mark's turning on Eleanor, blaming her for the loans, saying she forged the signatures without telling him the full risk. The fracture hit hard, a twist I hadn't anticipated, not united greed, but blame shifting like sand, exposing the rot beneath their family facade. She spilled more. The debts weren't just Mark's poker losses, but Mom's hidden credit binge on home renovations to impress friends, all siphoned through our account to dodge collections. "And Lily," Carla added, voice dropping, "her inheritance shares tied up in the estate papers Eleanor, updated last year, could get leaned if this blows up." My blood ran cold. Emily's insurance, meant for college funds and braces, now collateral in their mess. I felt the emotional tug, disagreeing with my impulse to trust Carla. Was she ally or another manipulator, playing me for sympathy? The park air grew heavier as she handed over a photo from her phone, Mom at the Rome airport, arguing heatedly with a burly man in a cheap suit, his hand on her arm, the collector, no doubt, chasing shadows across continents. "He followed them," Carla whispered. "Threatened worse if not paid." Subtle clues clicked, the silence calls, Mom's pawn tickets, the refund deposit, perhaps a partial bribe. Conflict churned inside me, pity for Mom's cornered desperation, rage at Mark's cowardice, and a moral gray zone in considering Carla's plea to front the hotel bill quietly in exchange for her testimony against them. "Why help me now?" I asked, standing to leave, the wind whipping my hair. She shrugged, eyes hard. "Mark's not worth jail, and Eleanor's cracking, doctor visits she hides." Back home that evening, with Lily splashing in her bath amid rubber ducks, Mark ambushed me at the door, his knock pounding like judgment. He pushed inside without waiting, face flushed, reeking of stale beer from whatever bar he'd drowned his regrets in. "We need to end this, Sarah," he growled, pacing the hallway as I dried Lily's hair, her wide eyes taking it all in. The alliance shattered openly then. He turned on Mom viciously. "She's the one who pushed the signatures, said it'd be victimless. But now the sharks are circling, and you're making it worse with your little stunts." I held Lily close, the dilemma peaking, believe his half-confession or see it as deflection. He ranted about the debt's origins, a business flop he'd roped Mom into, her co-signing out of blind love, but the twist deepened when he mentioned Lily's papers, admitting Mom's updates could freeze her share if lawsuits flew. The atmosphere crackled with impending storm, my choices teetering on a knife's edge, involve authorities and risk orphaning Lily from her grandparents' mess, or cut a deal and compromise my principles. Subtle hints emerged in his desperation, a fresh scar on his knuckles, perhaps from a recent scuffle, hinting at violence lurking. As Lily yawned, demanding her story, I steered him out, promising nothing, but revenge brewed sharp. That night, after tucking her in with tales of clever foxes outwitting wolves, I contacted the bank fraud line anonymously, feeding them the photo and loan details Carla shared, prompting a full audit on all linked accounts. There's frozen pending review. A witty reversal that flipped the script without my name in lights. Mark's text exploded soon after. What the hell? Can't access anything. I replied coolly, sounds like someone's debts caught up. Poetic, isn't it? Satisfaction surged, clever and karmic, but as Carla followed with a warning call about the Rome Hotel's final bill hitting tomorrow, 8,000 due, their cards dead in the water, the cliffhanger loomed large. They'd converge for a showdown, dragging buried truths into the open, and whose side would break first. The drizzle started just after breakfast, pattering against the kitchen window like impatient fingers as I buckled Lily into her booster seat, her chatter about ducks and rainbows a stark contrast to the knot in my stomach. That hotel bill loomed in my inbox, $8,000 of Rome in excess now crashing back home, forwarded by the bank with a stern note about joint liability, my name on it, thanks to Mom's forged links. The anonymous threats and fractured confessions from yesterday swirled in my head, alliances crumbling faster than the family's excuses, leaving me to wonder if the showdown would mend anything or just shatter the remnants. I wiped Lily's face gently, my touch lingering. She was the reason for all this fight, her innocent trust the one thing I couldn't afford to lose, even if my revenges teetered on the edge of too far. By mid-morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. Mom's pleas, Mark's demands, Carla's cryptic, they're coming over, and I braced, tidying the living room with mechanical swipes of a dust cloth, hiding the printouts of Lisa's audits under a magazine. The driveway filled with the crunch of tires around noon, their SUV pulling up like a reluctant surrender, umbrellas blooming as they emerged. Mom first, folder clutched tight, her face etched with lines deeper than the flight over. Mark slouched behind, jaw set. Carla last, eyes downcast, carrying a laptop like evidence. I opened the door before they knocked, Lily peeking from her playpen with curious waves, the air inside thickening instantly as they filed in, dripping on the mat. We gathered around the coffee table, the space too small for the tension, Lily's toys scattered like neutral ground. Mom took charge, spreading papers with trembling hands, the bill glaring in black ink, charges for sweets, meals, even a private tour they'd splurged on. We need to pay this now, Sarah, she said, voice steady but eyes pleading. It's on the family account. We'll sort the rest later. Sort? I almost laughed, the dry humor bubbling up amid the rage. Later like the last 5 grand? Mark jumped in, defensive as ever. This isn't helping the hotel's threatening collections. But Carla shifted uncomfortably, her earlier alliance fraying as she avoided my gaze, the fractures evident in their bickering, Mark snapping at Mom about your signatures, her retorting with your debts started it. The revelations poured out then, twists uncoiling like hidden springs. I pulled the audit summary, laying it bare. The forgeries weren't just loans. Mom had scanned my old check to co-sign on a second mortgage against Dad's estate, dipping into Emily's insurance to cover her own medical debts, treatments for a heart condition she'd hidden, too ashamed to ask outright. It was for us all, she whispered, tears tracking mascara, the clue from her doctor's calls finally clicking. But Mark countered, admitting his gambling-fueled half, the Rome trip a desperate escape before creditors closed in, with Carla's reluctant nod confirming she'd known but stayed silent for security. My heart-wrenched pity for Mom's secret illness clashing with fury at the deceit, emotions roiling as Lily toddled over, tugging my sleeve, her presence a reminder of stakes. I disagreed with my hardening stance. Part of me wanted to wire the money, hug them through the mess, but the betrayal ran too deep. Lily's future not collateral for their secrets. The conflict peaked as they begged access to the frozen accounts, Mom's hand on mine, voice cracking. Please, for family. Dilemmas flooded, forgive and enable more lies, or expose and watch them fall. Subtle hints culminated. The airport photo Carla had shown, now explained as the collector confronting Mom mid-trip, forcing the partial refund bribe, Mark's scar from a warning visit back home. They huddled over the laptop, Attempting the payment, cards declined, wires bouncing, the bank's hold ironclad from my anonymous tip, and panic set in, Mom's color draining as the hotel rep called on speaker, demanding immediate settlement or lawsuits. "We're ruined," Mark muttered, head in hands, the truth partial, deaths from illness and folly intertwined, but whose fault truly? As the call ended in threats, I stood, the room spinning with ambiguity, and delivered the final stroke. Earlier, I'd set up a redirect with Lisa's help, any incoming funds routed straight to an irrevocable trust for Lily, untouchable, then emailed the evidence packet to the authorities, anonymized through a service, alerting fraud investigators to the forgeries without implicating myself directly. "Handle it yourselves," I said evenly, watching their faces crumple as notifications pinged, accounts seized for review, collections notified. It was the ultimate flip, witty in its precision, leaving them to face the music while securing Lily's share. Mom's eyes met mine, a mix of betrayal and regret. "You'd do this to your own?" I held Lily close, whispering for her yes. Satisfaction mixed with hollow victory, clever payback complete. But as they gathered their things and trudged into the rain, Carla lingering with a nod of respect, questions lingered unanswered. Would Mom's health scare force real change or deepen the rifts? Could forgiveness bloom from this rubble? Or had I sealed us apart forever, the family's fractures too wide to bridge, leaving the future as uncertain as the storm clouds rolling in?